good. It feels great. I haven't been back for a while. It really works out great. With Indy, we're over there for the next, 6, 7 days, and they bring in, a lot of players, some of the top prospects across the country, and we get a chance to, put them through some good workouts. Not only football-related drills, but we get a chance to go through interviews and spend some time, with the guys individually, with our position coaches. And then we get a chance to, go through all the physicals that you need to go through with all these players. And it'd be kind of hard to go all around the country and give all these guys physicals. So, one central spot has worked out quite well for us, through the years.
Speaking of Indy, what are you guys exactly looking for the next year? What's in the next draft?
It's a little different this year because normally you have free agency before the draft. And with the new CBA, or whenever it does occur, free agency probably will be after the draft unless something's done by March 3rd. So if nothing's done by March 3rd, we'll have the draft, and then whenever the collective bargaining agreement is agreed upon, then we start free agency. So it could be a little bit different this year. I think when you don't do the normal free agency, people will go back in the draft and pick out the best player because they won't be able to fill all the holes that they've done before through free agency. So this year could be a little bit different than normal. Anybody else?
Can you comment? As a quarterback in high school, what were your plans and dreams for your football career, and then why did you choose Eastern?
I wanted to. High school coaches. My high school coaches were big influences in my life, and sports was kind of like something that I really enjoyed. And so to enjoy something and have people influence your career, I really wanted, in the back of my mind, I wanted to go into high school coaching. And then when I went to college and I enjoyed that, I said, hey, I might get involved in collegiate coaching. So I wasn't really sure what direction I was going to go. And then I went to graduate school. And then, I had an opportunity to go to Oklahoma and be a graduate assistant. And I said, if you want to learn football, why not learn from the best program? And at that time, the year before, they had won the national championship. So it gave me a great opportunity to kind of get started on the right path. And so that's the direction I went. And eventually I got some offers in college to start coaching, so that's how I started my career. So I wasn't really sure when I started off, but eventually I wound up coaching college. Never really even thought about pro football at that time.
What drew you to Eastern?
To be honest with you, it was the only full scholarship I had. And, being one of 6 kids, it was a lot easier with a full scholarship. Now I had some partial rights to Illinois State and Western Illinois, and if I hadn't got a scholarship, I probably would have went to a junior college. So when Eastern did offer me a full ride, very quickly I made my decision.
When you were playing, I guess it was in practice, you ruptured your kidney, and I assume you don't remember any of that.
No, I remember it quite well, to be honest with you, yeah. It was in spring game, and it was my redshirt junior year, and I just, got the wind knocked out of me, didn't think anything about it. And, after the, game was over with, and I had hurt myself in the fourth quarter, right at the end, and I just felt, something was wrong. So when I went to the restroom, it was bright red. So I go, okay, something's wrong there. This is not. But, being an athlete at that time and knowing that there's a party after the spring game, I just went home to relax, and I threw up quite a bit in the sink. In fact, I filled 2 sinks, and that's when I knew something was wrong. So when my roommate came home, which was Mike Heimerdinger at the time, he called the ambulance, and when I went there, my kidney was split in half. So I was pretty lucky.
Can you comment on the negotiations for the new CBA?
Well, I don't think anybody knows. First of all, I'm not allowed to comment on it. Nobody is. You won't see any quotes by anybody. So, but right now, what they're doing is they've got a mediator, and 2 sides are talking right now, and we're just hoping something gets done.
As a coach, how are you looking to this next season with that whole CBA thing going on?
Well, you don't know. You got a number of plans. So what the first plan you have is business as usual. We count on getting it done by by March 4th. And if that happens, it's like a normal year, everything. Now there might be a few tweaks here and there depending on what the agreement is, but whatever it is, we'll know at that time, and you just go just like it was a normal year. If not, then there's a lot of adjustments. You got to be ready for second, plan 2, plan 3, plan 4. All depends when it gets done. Because even with the free agents, even with the draft, you can't even sign any free agents after the draft. So you can go through the draft, but you can't sign the other people that are trying to get on football teams that normally you sign. And so it'll be quite different if that's what happens. Good questions. Anything else?
What were some of your fondest memories as an Eastern student, other than being on the field?
I enjoyed Eastern because I thought it was a great size. It was a teacher's college. At that time when I went to school, it was about 10,000 students. I'm not sure what it is now. I was fairly close to Chicago, which made it easy for me to get home. I had some great memories here too, just going through school. And then one of the fondest memories we had is when we won the national championship after the 110 season, and we had 17 straight years of not having a winning season. And then all of a sudden, one year we go from not having a winning season in 17 years to winning the national championship, and which most people don't remember. There was only one guy from the 1-10 year that wasn't a starter from the year before. So 21 of the 22 guys the next year were the same football team that was 1-10. And that was Steve Turk, the quarterback. A guy named Chuck Wright got hurt earlier in the year, and Steve came in and did a heck of a job. So it was one of those magical years that you remember for a long time.
Do you stay in touch with any of the former Eastern coaches or players that are coaches now? And now, of course, Joe isn't coaching, but
through the years, you got a little bond with the Eastern people because when I see Romo or Sean or Heimerdinger or Childress, and you always know you got the same connection. So it's been fun because now they're calling it like Miami, Ohio, the cradle of coaches, and a number of other coaches, Terlink and Melvin, a lot of coaches that have been in the NFL. So it's fun when you do see each other and you get a chance to spend a little time together.
Can you talk a little bit about your playing experience here?
Yeah, I didn't have a great playing experience because it was my redshirt junior year where I actually had 2 years left. And so when I lost my kidney, which would be like scholastically my senior year, but I had 2 years left, I thought, hey, this is my year. And then when I lost my kidney, after that happened, they wouldn't let you play. Now they would, and people do play with one kidney, but at that time, from an insurance standpoint, they would not let you play. They said you could kick, but you could not play in the game. So I was totally devastated. I didn't know it was a blessing in disguise because at that time I really thought I was a good football player. I didn't know that I was never going to play in the NFL because I wasn't good enough, because you always think you're good enough at that time. So it's kind of a blessing in disguise. And I started coaching a little bit earlier and started my coaching endeavor, 2 years before I should have.
What did you feel when you first broke through as an NFL head coach?
Well, I didn't last too long. I lasted 1 year and 4 games when I was with the Raiders. And so after my first experience, you never know if you're going to get another opportunity. And so what you do is you go back and you work, and all of a sudden, I got an opportunity to get back with Denver, and good things happen. So, it's like anything. You get knocked down sometimes, and you go through some tough times, but perseverance prevails, and tough times don't last. Tough people do. It's my famous quote for players that you got to work through adversity. You got to work hard and do the little things the right way, and the key is never giving up. If you believe in something, work for it, and eventually you'll obtain those goals.
What's the most difficult thing about being an NFL coach?
You know what? I'm not sure if there's any one thing. I think it's like all professions. You got to have a plan. You got to prepare for whatever. If it's for the opponents, if it's for free agency, it's for the draft. You got to have a very good plan. Whatever type of offense or defense you're running, you better have your best coaches. You better get great players. So, whatever facet you have, you have to be the best at what you do to get a chance to separate yourself. And I don't think it's any different than any other business. I think we get scrutinized a little bit more than any other business because we're out there in the public, and that's just the nature of the business. And if you can't take that scrutiny, usually you don't last. That's just the nature. If you take it personal and you don't understand you got a job to do, people are going to critique your job. And so some people can't take that criticism, or they get carried away when they get all the accolades. So there's a balance there in your life that you have to have.
You were saying earlier that Eastern's kind of becoming the new Miami, Ohio farming
I think it's in the water. I don't know. I'm not sure what it is, but you know, it's nice to have, and you know, I think, you know, all of a sudden now it's, you think, you know, when I came to Eastern, you know, it was just building the program up. You know, it was starting to, you know, they didn't have the backing that it has now, and to see it over the last 30 years, to see it grow, and people say, hey, what a great program, and this is where you want to go to school. This, you know, it wasn't always like that, and everything, you know, takes the foundation. It doesn't happen overnight, and they kept on, you know, picking away, and they've had a great program for a lot of years.